Some people get a tie for their birthday. I got a selfie of my wife sucking whipped cream off a man's chest, taken at the exact time my kids were standing in our kitchen, singing happy birthday to a cake she didn't even remember to pick up. I found it by accident on our shared iCloud, tucked in the background of a batch of innocent photos she took at the office. I guess she forgot our daughter's iPad syncs automatically. There's nothing quite like hearing your 7-year-old ask, "Daddy, who's that man hugging mommy at the party?" with frosting still smeared on her cheek. It started earlier that afternoon, hours before I saw the photo, when I came home from work a little early to pick up my own damn cake. I wasn't expecting much. I had trained myself not to. But something was off the moment I walked into the kitchen, an odd little detail that brushed against the edge of my mind like a spider web you can't find. On the counter was a wine glass, half full, lipstick stained, with the faint aroma of sangria and something expensive she never drank with me. What twisted the knife was the second glass next to it, rinsed, dried, but the outline of a ring at the bottom betrayed it had been used. That glass was unfamiliar. We didn't own it. Not part of our set. And in a house where everything had its place, that one item stuck out like a dropped note in a symphony. I didn't say anything. Didn't yell. Just stared at it for a moment, then quietly opened the cabinet to confirm what I already knew. It didn't belong here. The dishwasher hadn't run. No guest had been over. Not one I knew about. She had told me she had a late meeting, some quarterly wrap-up with the regional team. Something about analytics and forecasting. I nodded, kissed her forehead that morning, and told her not to stress about the day. "We'll celebrate another time," I said, like I hadn't been doing for 3 years now. The kids had made plans anyway. Our son drew a comic strip of me fighting dragons in a suit and tie. Our daughter wrote a poem about how I made the best pancakes. They were more excited than I was. So when 6 p.m. came and went, and she hadn't called, texted, or bothered to lie creatively, I just kept quiet. I made excuses. Told the kids she was probably stuck in traffic. We cut the cake without her. Took a photo. I smiled, because that's what dads do. I cleaned up, tucked them in, and told them Mom would see the gifts when she got home. It wasn't until 9:47 p.m. that she texted. "Long meeting. Heading home soon. Love you." The words tasted like ashes. I was already sitting on the couch, staring at her open MacBook, where I had tried to queue up an old movie she used to like. Something had glitched, some syncing error with the iCloud. And that's when it happened. A pop-up on the screen. New photos from iPad. Curiosity? Maybe. Maybe I just needed something to focus on. I clicked. And there they were. The first few were harmless. Our daughter's artwork, random screenshots, a blurry picture of our dog. But then, mid-scroll, the screen lit up with something else entirely. Her. In that black dress she swore didn't fit anymore. A hotel room. A cocktail glass. Then a man, smirking, shirtless, tattooed across the collarbone. His arm around her waist, her lips close to his ear. And then one of them laughing, her head thrown back, the timestamp glowing like a bullet wound. 7:13 p.m. Right when my son handed me the birthday card he made with paper and glue, proudly explaining how I was the strongest dad in the world. I didn't smash the laptop. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just stared at it. Let it sink in like poison under the skin. That quiet rage, the cold kind that sharpens your focus instead of blurring it. That was when the first crack ran through the dam. Not from the betrayal, I think. Deep down, I'd known. No, it was from the way it all overlapped. The kids. The innocence. Their effort. Their hope. And her, in some hotel room, laughing into someone else's mouth while her family waited, candles burning low. And that's when I knew. I wasn't going to confront her. I wasn't going to scream, accuse, or beg. I was going to burn her down slowly, silently, without ever raising my voice. And I was going to let our children light the match. The irony is, I used to think we were one of the good ones. You know the type, suburban house, 2 kids, PDA meetings, matching Christmas pajamas, the usual suburban theater of happiness. I was the guy who made breakfast on weekends, kissed her shoulder while she read at the kitchen table, left post-it notes in her car that said things like, "You got this today." And she smiled when she found them, at least she used to. But somewhere between last spring and that birthday massacre, something shifted. Not an earthquake. Not an explosion. Just a tilt. A slow, subtle realignment of gravity where everything still looked the same, but nothing felt right anymore. It started when she stopped finishing her coffee. She used to cradle it, take it to the deck, savor it like a ritual. But then, more and more often, I'd find it still steaming on the counter, abandoned halfway through. She said she was in a hurry, lots going on at work, new projects. Fair enough. But then came the gym. She joined a boutique place across town, twice the price of the one 5 minutes away, and started going 4-5 times a week. Said it was for her mental health. I encouraged it. Hell, I even bought her a new pair of trainers. But then she started showering there too, every time. Even on Sundays, when we had nowhere to be. She'd come home with her hair wet, smelling of floral soap we didn't own. One day, I mentioned picking up that brand for her, and she blinked, confused, like I'd asked her the square root of grief. Oh, they have it at the gym, she said too quickly. Don't worry about it. Then there were the boundaries. That word started sneaking into our conversations like a stray cat. I need more boundaries with the kids. I need boundaries with my schedule. And eventually, I need boundaries with you. She said it with a laugh, half teasing, half not, while pushing my hand off her thigh one night in bed. It's just, I need space. You know? Time for personal growth. Growth. Like I was a dead tree root choking the flower she wanted to become. I didn't fight her. I figured it was a phase. Everyone hits a weird stretch in a marriage. So I pulled back a little. Gave her room. Took on more school runs, more dishes, more of the bedtime stories. I even told her to take a solo weekend trip, something she used to dream about when the kids were younger. She smiled at that, kissed my cheek, called me the best man alive. But when she left, she took her nicest dresses, her good perfume, and none of her books. And when I called her that Saturday morning just to say I missed her, the phone rang twice, then went to voicemail. Twice. Still, I didn't press. I waited. She came back that Sunday glowing, like sunlit glass. Said the beach was exactly what she needed. She showed the kids seashells she found, but there were no pictures. No selfies, no posts, nothing. She'd made her Instagram private 2 weeks earlier. Said she was tired of the attention. I didn't ask from who. Then the packages started arriving. Little things at first. Clothes, jewelry, new lingerie. I figured it was for herself. A confidence boost. But one day I opened a box by accident, thinking it was the new headphones I ordered. It wasn't. It was a silk robe, blood red, sheer, something out of a movie. The receipt inside listed a delivery address I didn't recognize. Her office. When I asked her, she just smiled and said, "You wouldn't understand. It's a self-care thing." I nodded like I did. Like I wasn't watching my wife become someone I didn't recognize anymore. She started staying out late. Networking, she said. Girls' nights. Events. Always something just out of reach. I never caught her in a lie directly. She was too good for that. But the lies were there, like a crooked picture frame you can't unsee. One night, I checked the mileage on her car. Something about it bugged me. She'd said she went to a spa 2 towns over. But the math didn't add up. Not even close. I didn't confront her. I just stood there in the garage, staring at the odometer, thinking about how long it takes to cheat on someone, how many miles it takes to erase a decade. And through it all, she kept smiling. That same smile she used when we first met. Only now it passed right through me, like light through stained glass. She kissed the kids, asked about their day, posted quotes about freedom and alignment on her story. She laughed louder, lived brighter, wore tighter dresses, and started calling herself reborn. And maybe she was. But every time she smiled, something in my chest twisted, not because I didn't love her anymore, but because I could see so clearly that she didn't love me. Not like she used to. Not even a little. But I still held on, because I wasn't ready to admit it. Not yet. Not until the moment her lies caught up with her reflection. Not until the moment our daughter picked up the iPad. Not until the house of cards came down from the inside. It happened on a Tuesday. Ordinary, harmless Tuesday. Sunny, calm. The kind of day where you fold laundry to the hum of the dishwasher and convince yourself life is still what you thought it was. I was working from home that day, something rare for me. She didn't know. Said she had a meeting across town, something with her new creative consultant she'd been gushing about lately. Some guy with a man bun and vision, apparently. I told her to take the car. I'd be fine. She smiled, kissed my temple, said she loved me, and walked out the door in a short beige dress she hadn't worn since our last anniversary. I stayed back. Watched her from the upstairs window as she paused in the driveway, fixed her lipstick in the mirror, then sent a quick text before driving off. That was the moment I knew. I didn't know what I knew, but I knew. Something in the way her face shifted when she looked down at that phone. A softness, a flicker of guilt quickly buried. So I waited. Not long. Maybe 40 minutes. Then I did something I never thought I'd do. I opened her laptop. Just like that. No passcode needed. Same old trust she'd always had in me. The email tab was open. I clicked refresh. Nothing. Then again, and there it was, a thread, still active. Subject line, can't stop thinking about Sunday. The sender was a Gmail account I didn't recognize, but the preview line made my stomach calcify. That dress is still in my sheets. God, I can smell you on my pillow. I didn't open it. I didn't have to. My eyes moved, slow, detached, scanning the list. More messages. All from him. Dozens of them. Over weeks. The folder was labeled, work. Of course it was. My hands didn't shake. My heart didn't race. It just stopped. Not from pain. No, that would come later. It stopped from clarity. From the sudden understanding that the person I'd built my life around was not only gone, but had been systematically erasing me with surgical precision. I closed the laptop. No drama. No sound. Walked into our bedroom, sat on the edge of the bed she slept in each night beside me, and looked at her nightstand. The little notepad she used to write affirmations in, still open to the last entry. I deserve to feel alive. I stared at that for a long time. Hours maybe. The silence in the house wasn't peaceful, it was sterile. Like a morgue. The kind of silence you get when even the walls don't want to speak. Around 3, I heard her car in the driveway. I didn't move. I didn't greet her. I just sat there, still, quiet, as she walked in and called my name. Babe, she said, chipper, a little too sweet. How was your day? I told her it was fine. She kissed my head. Said hers was exhausting. Meetings nonstop. I looked at her shoes, heels I hadn't seen in months. No mud. No signs of rain. I looked at her hair perfect, curled. Not a strand out of place. Then I noticed something small but loud. She wasn't wearing her wedding ring. Not even pretending to put it on anymore. She always forgot to take it off for the gym, but now she remembered to leave it behind. I didn't ask. I just watched. And that's when it happened. Her phone buzzed. She looked down, flinched, so fast, so slight, but enough. She turned the screen away from me. Spam, she said, locking it. I nodded. Dinner's in the fridge, I told her. Kids'll be back from practice soon. She smiled, relieved that I didn't press. But I wasn't sparing her, I was storing her. Freezing her in this exact moment, this exact lie. It wasn't anger anymore. It wasn't even sadness. It was strategy. I had crossed a threshold without her noticing. She still thought she had time. Still thought I was playing the part of the loyal fool. But I wasn't that man anymore. That man died the second I saw her life without me laid out in bold, italic font in someone else's inbox. And as she walked into the kitchen, humming, opening the fridge, I didn't look at her. I looked at the kids' drawings on the fridge, the ones with our family all holding hands, smiling like cartoons. I looked at them and thought, they'll know. Soon. They'll know what she is. And I won't have to say a single word. I became a ghost in my own home, present, but invisible. Every movement, every question, every glance she gave me was weighed, measured, cataloged like evidence. I stopped reacting entirely. No more checking in, no more small talk. I let her believe she had successfully gaslit me into oblivion. That was the most important part. She needed to believe she was still in control. Because control is what makes people sloppy. I started small. First, I went through the bank statements, not the obvious charges, but the forgotten ones. Starbucks, late-night gas stations nowhere near her route to work, Uber charges with odd timestamps. One receipt caught my eye, the Waverly Inn, a place we'd never been together. She had told me she was helping Sarah with her divorce stuff that night. I called the Waverly Inn 3 days later, casually asking to confirm a reservation under her name for corporate records, pretending to be her assistant. The voice on the line said, yes, she was here, table for 2. Great tipper. I asked if they had a copy of the receipt. They did. She paid for 2. I didn't need to see the other name. I already knew. Still, I kept digging. I borrowed our son's school iPad one night after they were asleep, knowing full well she'd used it for Zoom meetings and the occasional FaceTime call. What I found wasn't photos or texts, it was synced Safari history. One search stood out. Is emotional cheating still cheating? Dated 3 weeks before I saw the email thread. The question wasn't hers. It was her attempt to justify something someone else had said. She'd always been too sure of herself to ask permission. It was a clue, and it led to another. I remembered how she always said she needed space and would go stay late at book club. So I called Jennifer, Quietly, one afternoon while at work. Jennifer, who ran the actual book club, and who hadn't seen my wife in 2 months. She said she was busy with family stuff, she told me. I smiled into the phone and said, "You know how it is," and hung up. Then I got creative. I ordered a flower delivery to her office. Nothing romantic, just a professional bouquet with a card that read, "Thanks for the meeting. Glad we're aligned." No signature. I timed the delivery for a day. She claimed to be working from the office all afternoon. When she got home, I waited. She didn't mention the flowers. Not once. So I called the florist the next morning. They said the flowers had been signed for by a receptionist. I asked if they had a delivery confirmation photo. Of course, they said. I gave them my email. When it arrived, my wife wasn't in the office. She wasn't even in the building. The timestamp was 2:17 p.m. That same day, she'd texted me at 2:12 p.m. saying she was in back-to-back meetings until 4. She had lied before her lies even had time to breathe. That's when I knew the scope was wider than I thought. She wasn't just cheating. She was rewriting the story of her life, removing me scene by scene. So I started recording, but not the way you think. I didn't plant microphones or cameras. I recorded her in conversation, mentally. I started asking little questions, benign things. Did you have lunch today? How's that new assistant working out? Was traffic bad coming back from that strategy meeting? Innocent, passive questions. I never challenged her answers. I just logged them. Each lie was a thread in the web she didn't know I was mapping. And then I followed the wrong person, on purpose. Not her, but her best friend Kelly. Kelly was the kind who couldn't hold water, couldn't keep a secret without posting it in emojis on Instagram. I made a burner account. Female name. Liked a few of Kelly's travel pics. Slid into her DMs as someone going through something similar. Within a week, I had a conversation thread where Kelly, in all her brilliance, hinted that my wife was finally happy again, that he makes her laugh like she hasn't in years. I baited the conversation, asked who he was. Kelly wouldn't say, too loyal, even in betrayal, but she posted a cryptic story that weekend. A man's hand, holding a glass of wine, reflected in a hotel window. I screenshotted it. The watch on his wrist matched one I'd seen once, on our bathroom counter, when she came home from her solo retreat. A brand I didn't own. Still, I said nothing. Silence was my ally. My eyes were always on her now, but not in desperation, in calculation. I watched her rush to silence her phone when she thought I wasn't looking. I watched her makeup habits change, her body language, the way she turned her back to me in bed like a curtain dropping at the end of a scene. But the performance wasn't over. No, she was still playing her part, still convinced I was just the oblivious husband, still telling herself the kids would never know, that she was protecting them from complexity. But all I had to do was wait. Because soon enough, she'd slip again. And this time, it wouldn't be me who caught her. It would be the only people whose opinion she couldn't manipulate. Her children. And when they saw her for who she really was, it wouldn't be rage that followed. It would be disappointment. And that lasts longer. Hurts deeper. Burns slower. It was a charity gala, black tie, open bar, name tags, fake laughs, and just enough moral posturing to mask the underlying stench of ego. She insisted we attend. Said it would be good for appearances, that we hadn't been seen together in public for a while, that it might be refreshing to reconnect. I agreed, smiled, kissed her cheek like a dutiful husband, and helped zip the back of her dress like I hadn't already memorized every pixel of the video she sent her lover from that same dress in a hotel room 2 weeks earlier. It was time. I had spent weeks arranging this, down to the second. The event was hosted by a local nonprofit she occasionally volunteered for, and I had donated enough to be listed as a top sponsor, which gave me access, influence, leverage. I arranged for a slideshow to be running on a massive screen behind the podium, photos of volunteers, donors, events, innocuous stuff, until it wasn't. The moment came halfway through the evening, just after dessert. She was laughing with 2 women I didn't recognize, glass of wine in hand, her mask perfectly affixed. I tapped the microphone as the room quieted. "Thank you all for being here," I began. "This night means a lot to our community, and to our families, which is why I wanted to share a few moments that truly show how much we give of ourselves." The lights dimmed. The screen flickered. And there it was, the first photo. Her, sitting on a hotel bed in the same dress she wore tonight, laughing, head tilted back. a glass of champagne in her hand. The next slide was him shirtless, standing behind her, kissing her neck. The third was a video. No sound. Just her, speaking into the camera with that voice she used to save for our bedroom. Her smile froze. The room went silent. Someone dropped a fork. I didn't say a word. I let the images speak. Then I turned to her, slowly, and said, "You told me you were volunteering at the shelter that night. You even brought home a thank you card you said the kids made for the team." She didn't move. Not at first. Then the lie began. "It's not what you think. This is a misunderstanding." I nodded slowly. "I think you were him in the Ritz-Carlton while your children were drawing you pictures to say they missed you. Am I misunderstanding that?" Her breath caught. Then came justification. "We were just talking. It didn't go as far as it looks." "The part where he takes your dress off?" I asked. I still locked on hers. "That was just part of the conversation?" Her voice cracked. "It was a mistake. I was lonely. You were always so distant." And there it was. The shift. The pivot. The subtle blame. I smiled. Just a little. "You're right. I was distant. I was so busy working to give you the house, the car, the security, so you could feel safe while sneaking off to rub your loneliness into another man's pillow." Her eyes flickered to the crowd. Murmurs rippled. One of her friends stepped back from her, slowly. "Can we talk about this in private?" she hissed. "Why? You weren't private when you recorded yourself riding him while the kids were at their piano recital." She flinched. Real panic now. "Stop. You're humiliating me." I leaned in close. "No. You humiliated yourself. I'm just giving you the same audience you thought I'd never find." She tried to recover, straightened her shoulders, forced a smirk. "Fine. Maybe I did. But he made me feel something. Something you stopped giving me a long time ago." And now we were at stage 4, mocking confidence. The cornered animal showing teeth, hoping to bluff its way free. "I'm not sorry," she added. "You were never present. You gave up on me first." I took a slow sip of my drink. "Then I guess you'll understand when they give up on you too." Her eyebrows knit. "They? Who?" I cut her off. "The kids." Her face drained. Like a candle snuffed out in a dark room. "What?" she whispered. "I didn't tell them," I said, voice low, steady, final. "I didn't have to. Our daughter found your videos on the iPad. She saw you. And you know what she said? She asked me why Mommy was playing with a stranger in her pajamas." Her hand went to her mouth. Real fear now. Not for the crowd, not for me, but for the one thing she thought she still controlled. "Please," she murmured. Don't what?" I said softly. "Don't let them see you for who you are? That's already done." She stepped forward, desperate now, hand reaching for mine. "We can fix this." I didn't flinch. "No. You broke it. And now you get to live in the rubble." The lights came back on. The host awkwardly stepped forward, trying to salvage the night. But no one was looking at him. Every eye in the room was still on her. Frozen. Shattered. The room buzzed with silence, and I didn't move. I didn't leave. Not yet. I stood perfectly still, just long enough for her to feel the full weight of what she had lost, in front of everyone she thought she could still fool. She showed up at the house the next morning like a storm with perfect makeup, eyes red from crying but lashes still curled, her voice low and trembling like a wounded actress mid-monologue. She let herself in without knocking, clutching a coffee in one hand and a half-eaten apology in the other. "We need to talk," she said. I didn't respond. Just sat at the kitchen table, flipping through the divorce packet she hadn't noticed lying open beside my coffee mug. Her voice sharpened. "You ambushed me last night. In front of everyone. You humiliated me." I turned a page. She stepped closer, dropping the coffee on the counter like it was some kind of peace offering. "After everything we've been through, that's how you do it? You don't even try to save us?" I met her eyes finally, and that alone was enough to make her flinch. "There's nothing left to save," I said calmly. "You already set it on fire." That's when she cracked. "You smothered me. You treated me like a trophy on a shelf. I was dying in this house, and you didn't see it." I nodded once. "Because you were too busy opening your legs for someone else in hotel rooms I paid for." She slammed her palm on the counter. "I needed to feel alive." "Then go feel alive somewhere else," I said, not even looking up. Her voice pitched higher. "You were boring. Predictable. Everything about you was scheduled, safe. No passion, no spontaneity. What woman wants to live like that?" I looked at her like a stranger. The woman who begged me to marry her. Twice. She stammered, trying to find footing, trying to regain control. "This wouldn't have happened if you were a real man." There it was. The venom. The cheap shot. The final bullet from the clip of her pride. I stood up slowly, not angry, not rattled, just done. A real man, I repeated. You mean the one who kept this family fed, who read bedtime stories while you faked traffic on the way home from your sessions? That man. Her mouth opened, then closed. No script for that. You think you're better than me? She spat. No, I said. I know I am. And worse, you know it, too. Her hands trembled now, not from rage, but from the sheer weight of irrelevance crashing down on her. She walked in here thinking she still had pieces on the board. She didn't realize the game ended last night. You can't just erase me, she hissed. I'm still their mother. I nodded again, slowly. You'll always be their mother. That's the tragedy. She recoiled like I'd struck her, and for a second, I thought she might cry. But crocodile tears don't work when the water's already poisoned. You're trying to turn them against me, she said. I don't have to, I replied. You did that all by yourself. Kids aren't stupid. They see more than you think. And the worst part? They're starting to understand. She paced now, back and forth, like a caged animal realizing the door's locked from the outside. We could still fix this, she pleaded, voice cracking. You could forgive me. We could go to therapy, try again. I tilted my head slightly. You want to fix this because you lost. Not because you're sorry. Not because you love me. Because you don't want to be the villain in the story you wrote. Her jaw tightened. You think you're the hero? No, I said. I'm just the survivor. She threw the coffee across the room. It shattered against the wall, splattering dark liquid across the family photo still hanging above the dining table. Our last Christmas together. I didn't even blink. She looked at the mess like it might undo everything, like the violence would jolt me into feeling something: anger, hurt, passion. But there was nothing left for her to reach. Say something, she begged. Say you still love me. Say you hate me. Just something. I stared at her, long and flat. You're nothing to me now. Just a lesson I had to learn the hard way. And that's when the real silence began. Not the quiet of peace, but the absence of power. She stood in the ruins of what she thought was still her home, shaking, broken not by screams or slurs, but by the realization that I had no interest in revenge. I didn't need to punish her. I just didn't care anymore. And to someone like her, apathy is the cruelest cut of all. She still thought this was salvageable, that some tearful monologue or nostalgic flashback would unlock a door I'd already bricked over. That was her first mistake. Her second was assuming I was going to hit back with rage. She expected chaos. What she got was calculus. I didn't scream, didn't threaten, didn't even tell her to leave. I just let her sit in the delusion that nothing had begun, when in truth, I was already halfway through my execution plan. Step 1 was securing the battlefield. The joint accounts? Closed. Reopened under my name only, with legal precision. The password she never bothered to change? All rerouted. The moment she walked out of my kitchen that day, thinking she'd thrown one last punch, her credit cards began to decline one by one. The car she'd been so proud of, leased in my name. I scheduled the repo quietly. On a morning she had a branding lunch with her affair partner. I imagined the look on her face when the valet told her it was gone. Step 2 was the paper trail. Every message, every video, every receipt, compiled, dated, backed up in 3 cloud accounts and printed into a neatly organized binder labeled Exhibit A. My lawyer didn't even blink when I dropped it on his desk. He just whistled low and said, "She's not walking away from this clean." I nodded once. No need to explain. He understood. Then came the real cut, the one she wouldn't see until it was already deep. Her job. She worked in PR. Reputation mattered. So I made sure her boss got a package. No threats. No drama. Just a polite, anonymous email from a concerned party with screenshots attached, timestamped evidence of her conduct during work hours, company retreats, even a video of her trashing a client after one too many drinks in that hotel room. I don't know if she was fired or encouraged to resign, but within a week, her LinkedIn status changed to open to work. That was step 3, isolation. Her friends? I didn't have to do much. I simply sent each of them a private message, short and to the point. I thought you should know the truth before she rewrites it. Ask her about June 14th. That was the day she told everyone she was at her mother's bedside in the hospital. I included a video from that evening, her, in lingerie, toasting with her affair partner in a mirror selfie. Most didn't reply, but I watched the likes disappear from her posts. Slowly, then all at once. Her mother called me. She was quiet, sad. She said you were cold, she murmured. I responded with one sentence. She made videos of herself cheating, and our daughter found them. The line went silent. Then she whispered, "I'm so sorry," and hung up. Step 4. The children. I never spoke a bad word about her. Never planted poison. I simply answered their questions with facts. Why did Mommy move out? Because she broke a promise to the family. Why does Mommy cry when we don't want to go to her place? Because she's ashamed, even if she won't say it. I let them connect the dots. And when my daughter asked, "Did Mommy stop loving us too?" I said, "No." But sometimes adults make choices that show love isn't their priority. That was enough. Step 5. The legal endgame. Full custody filing, based on her instability, her job loss, her lack of housing. I made sure everything was clean, indisputable. I even arranged parenting classes and therapy sessions for me and the kids to show initiative. When she finally received the papers, she texted me, frantic, "Why are you doing this?" I didn't respond. Silence is the only language manipulators can't translate. And while she scrambled, trying to find allies, I was on step 6, rebuilding. Not for her. For me. I upgraded the house, not with flashy things, but repairs she always said we couldn't afford while she funneled money into hotel weekends and new lingerie. I repainted, redecorated, made it ours again, me and the kids. Their rooms became havens. The kitchen smelled like cinnamon and quiet laughter instead of tension and perfume. Every part of our home became hers less and less. She still called, of course. Still left voicemails crying, screaming, apologizing. But I didn't listen. Just saved them. Evidence. Because eventually, she'd go too far again, and I'd need proof that letting her near the kids was a risk. She never realized how easy it was to destroy herself. All I did was remove the blindfold and hand her a mirror. By the time she saw the cracks, the frame was already shattered. And she knew no amount of pleading or posturing would rebuild what she had turned to dust. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't lift a hand. I simply held the door open while her life fell apart behind her, one silent, calculated step at a time. The fall came on a Sunday, sunny, warm, deceptively quiet. It was her niece's birthday, a backyard party full of balloons, barbecue smoke, and folding chairs on slightly uneven grass. She had begged me to come, said it was important to show we could be civil for family. I said yes without hesitation, not because I wanted to play happy family, but because I knew what was waiting for her there. I knew the photos had already been shared in the family group chat the night before, screenshots, videos, even a screen grab of the fake text she sent claiming to be sick while she was on top of her affair partner at the Ritz. Her brother had called me at midnight. Said, "You don't deserve this." "I'm sorry we ever believed a word she said." I told him not to apologize, just to let the others see for themselves. And they did. That Sunday, when we pulled up separately, and she walked in wearing a sundress and a forced smile, she didn't realize the applause she was used to had already turned into quiet stares and polite, surgical silence. Her father didn't get up to greet her. Her mother, usually the first to fawn over her hair or her shoes, simply nodded. Her aunt muttered "shameless" under her breath when she passed by, loud enough to be heard but quiet enough to pretend it was accidental. The birthday girl smiled at her and then turned away, uninterested. The kids didn't run to her. No one offered her a plate. She looked around, confused, her smile twitching at the corners as she tried to laugh it off. "Everyone's so serious today," she joked. But her voice cracked on the last syllable. And then it got worse. Her best friend, the one she had used as an alibi on more than one occasion, walked up to me with a tight hug, right in front of her, and said, "If you ever need anything, I'm here. For you and the kids." I could see her flinch. Could see her eyes dart between us, trying to piece together how and when the world had shifted beneath her heels. She tried to play it cool, asked her friend if they could talk privately, but the reply came fast, cold. "I don't think that's a good idea. I don't want to be associated with any of this." The smile cracked. The mask began to crumble. But she still wasn't done. She spotted her affair partner across the yard, awkward and alone by the drink cooler, clearly out of place in his designer sunglasses and expensive discomfort. She walked toward him, fast, too fast, like a drowning woman lunging for a life raft. She whispered something to him, low, sharp, desperate. He glanced toward me. I didn't blink, just watched. Then he shook his head, stepped back, and said loud enough for several people to hear, "I didn't sign up for this mess." She grabbed his arm. He yanked it free. "You said this was handled." He walked away, leaving her standing in the grass, surrounded by people who once adored her and now couldn't even look her in the eye. Her hands shook. She turned back toward me, eyes wide, lips parting like she might say something, some half-baked excuse or sudden epiphany. But I didn't move. I just stood there, calm, unreadable, watching as the realization finally hit her. This was it. This was the bottom. Not the moment she got caught. Not the day she moved out. But now, in broad daylight, under a smiling piñata and a sky so blue it mocked her. She tried to speak. Nothing came out. She gave a weak laugh, a hollow thing with no air behind it, and someone's child asked, "Why is Annie crying?" She wasn't yet, but close. So close. She turned away, staggered toward the side of the house, clutching her phone like it could call her back to the life she'd lost. But no one followed. No one asked if she was okay. They were too busy talking to me, offering kind words, support, asking how the kids were holding up. Her own family orbiting around me now. She re-emerged 10 minutes later, blotchy-faced and trying to compose herself, wiping under her eyes with shaking fingers. Her makeup smeared. Her composure shredded. She looked at me across the yard, and for the first time, I saw it, fear. Not fear of me. Fear of nothingness. Fear of being seen for who she really was and having no mask left to hide behind. I didn't need to gloat. I didn't need to say a word. I just stood there and watched, and that was enough. She saw it in my eyes, my total detachment. That her words meant nothing now. Her tears, her explanations, her rehearsed lines, all empty currency. Her kingdom had crumbled. Her throne was ash. And I was still standing, untouched, unmoved, surrounded by the very people she once weaponized against me. She looked away first. That was when she truly broke. It happened in the middle of her father's retirement party, a catered evening in the backyard, lights strung across trees, music low, people dressed in summer formal, glasses clinking, laughter floating through the air like nothing had ever gone wrong. She was there, of course, wearing a white floral dress that used to mean innocence and now looked like a twisted joke. I hadn't planned to speak to her at all, not after everything, but then she opened her mouth, loud enough for people to hear, and said, "You've done enough damage, don't you think?" Her voice cut through the crowd like a blade, sharp and bitter, full of the entitlement she wore like perfume. I turned slowly, and for a second, everything stopped, the music, the murmurs, even the clinking of glasses. She stood there, arms folded, fake confidence draped over a body that couldn't stop shaking. "Damage?" I said, voice low but clear. "You think I'm the one who caused the damage?" She took a step forward, desperate to reclaim ground she'd already lost. "You've turned everyone against me. My family, my friends, God, even my coworkers look at me like I'm a monster now. You've been poisoning everything." I laughed, not because it was funny, but because the lie was so transparent, it didn't even deserve a full reaction. "You think they needed me to poison anything? You sent the videos yourself. You handed them the truth wrapped in a bow." Her face flushed. "I made one mistake, I snapped, my voice finally rising. "One mistake is forgetting an anniversary. One mistake is saying something you regret in a fight. You had an entire second life. You cheated, you lied, you looked our daughter in the eye and told her you were working late while you were getting undressed for a man you barely knew." The crowd was quiet now, fully turned toward us. Her mother stood a few feet away, face pale, hand over her mouth. Her father looked like he wanted to vanish into the hedge. "You think you're some martyr?" she shouted. "You think just because you were silent all this time, you get to be the hero?" "No," I said. "I'm not the hero. I'm the guy who survived you. I'm the guy who stayed while you slipped out the back door every chance you got. And I'm the guy who finally realized that silence only benefits the liar." A gasp came from someone near the punch bowl. Her cousin. She'd always liked me. She stepped closer, visibly shaken. My ex spun on her. "Don't look at me like that. You don't know what it was like. You don't know what it's like to feel trapped in a life where you don't matter. You were worshipped." I barked. "You had everything. Respect, loyalty, a home, children who adored you. And you torched it because you wanted to feel special for 5 minutes in a hotel room. You weren't trapped. You were bored. There's a difference." She charged forward, finger pointing in my face now, eyes wild. "You don't get to stand there and pretend you were perfect. You weren't present. You were cold. You acted like I was a burden. I acted like a man who trusted his wife not to turn our marriage into a lie." I shot back. "I wasn't cold. I was exhausted. Carrying the weight of your secrets while you smiled at family dinners like nothing was rotting underneath." Her lover. Yes, he was there. She had the audacity to bring him. Tried to sneak away toward the gate, but my voice cut across the yard. "Leaving so soon." He froze. "You didn't tell him, did you?" That while you were texting him all those sweet nothings, she was still climbing into my bed at night, still telling the kids we were working things out, still asking me for money to pay for her car while she played dress-up in his apartment. He looked at her now, really looked, and what he saw made his face twist in disgust. "Is that true?" he asked, voice low. She didn't answer. Couldn't. Her hands trembled now. "Oh, and by the way," I added, stepping forward just once, close enough for her to hear every word crystal clear. "She told me you were just a phase, that she was never going to stay with you, that once she got what she needed, her little escape, she'd come back to her real life. So congratulations. You weren't her future. You were her distraction." He turned and walked away. Didn't say a word. Just left her standing there, broken in front of everyone she used to own with her charm. She turned back to me, tears welling, desperation leaking through every crack. "Please," she whispered. "Stop. Just stop." I shook my head. "You started this. I'm just giving you the ending." The backyard was frozen, guests staring, some filming, most just wide-eyed and stunned. Her mother turned away. Her father wouldn't look at her. Her friends weren't there anymore. All that was left was her and me, the truth laid out like blood on linen. She broke then, not with grace, not quietly, but with a sob that tore through the silence like glass shattering on tile. But I didn't comfort her. I didn't move. I just stood there, eyes locked on hers, and let her drown in everything she'd built with her own hands. And when she finally dropped to her knees, gasping for breath between cries, I turned and walked toward the house, dignity intact, spine straight, past the whispers and pity and disbelief, because justice, when it lands in full, doesn't need an encore. After the party, she didn't go home, because she didn't have one anymore. Words spread faster than wildfire in a drought, and within 72 hours, her carefully curated life disintegrated like cheap lace and acid. Her job let her go quietly, a PR-friendly term for "we can't afford the scandal you've created." The screenshots had made their way into the inbox of a board member, and when your job is public image, being caught on video cheating on your husband while your daughter reads your bedtime story alone doesn't exactly scream brand ambassador. Her coworkers stopped responding to texts. Her friends ghosted her, one by one. Even Kelly, her former ride or die, removed all their photos from Instagram and changed her bio to a quote about protecting your peace. Her social media went silent. Not private, just dead. No likes, no comments. Just posts aging in digital silence like milk left in the sun. The man she destroyed everything for? Gone within days. Blocked her, deleted his number, denied everything to anyone who asked. When confronted by a mutual friend, all he said was, "I didn't know she was married," and that was the last anyone saw of him. She moved 3 cities away. Word was she rented a basement apartment beneath a retired nurse's house and worked nights cleaning dental offices. No one asked questions there. No one knew her name. It was exactly what she deserved. But even in exile, she couldn't stop looking backward. Couldn't stop chasing ghosts she'd killed with her own hands. She sent messages, first friendly, then desperate. "I just want to talk. You're the only person who ever really knew me. I miss us." And finally, the one she thought would shatter me. "I still love you." I waited a full day before replying. Just one sentence. "Strange. I don't even remember your name anymore." That was the last thing I ever typed to her. But she couldn't let go. A few weeks later, she came by. I didn't invite her. She just showed up, standing on the front step in jeans too big for her frame and a hoodie that looked like it hadn't been washed in a month. Her eyes were hollow, makeup smudged, mouth trembling like she wanted to smile but couldn't remember how. I opened the door just enough for her to speak. "I know I don't deserve anything," she whispered, "but I wanted you to know I'm sorry. I mean it. I ruined everything. I see that now. I wasn't who I thought I was. And you didn't deserve what I did to you. Or to them." I said nothing. Just looked at her, this woman who used to command rooms with a glance, now barely holding herself together. She took a step forward. I don't want them to hate me forever. The kids. I miss them." I still didn't speak. She broke then, right there on the porch, hands over her face, sobbing like someone trying to rewind time through sheer force of misery. "Please," she whispered between gasps. "Please just tell me how to fix it. Tell me what to do. I'll do anything." I finally met her eyes. And with the same voice I used to say I do all those years ago, I gave her the only truth she had left. "You can't fix it. You killed it. Now live with it. I closed the door. Slowly. Deliberately. And I didn't look back. She stood there for a while, I think. I don't know. I didn't care. I was inside, with my children, where the warmth still lived. And she was out there, in the cold she'd created. She made her choice. And I made mine. Let her remember this silence for the rest of her life. Thank you for listening to my story. I'd love to know where you're from, and whether this one hit home for you. Did you enjoy the ride? Or better yet, did it make you feel something?